So this is the servant heart. As a reminder, this is the second part of the morning routine. So last episode, last Rise Up we did was called the evolution of gratitude. So if you did not, hear that one, I would recommend that you go back to it. And if you did hear that one, did you practice it? Did you practice waking up in the morning? And it's okay if you didn't. You just had forgotten. I forgive you for you knew not what you did. It was just that simple process of as soon as your eyes go from closed to open, saying thank you and just grasping that moment and rather before it boots up. So did you practice, claiming that valuable real estate in the morning when you wake up, saying thank you and create your own reality? And I just wrote here once again, if not, it's fine, but go back and do it. It's the first part. The second part won't work because you won't even get to the second part if you don't claim that fragile state in the morning. Great morning, everybody on Instagram. So the next step. So we've created the theme. We've evolved our gratitude from the basic thank you to the, thank you that goes on to the idea of helping others. So now we have to claim control of that. So the next step, once you've booted up and claimed control, is to activate and place yourself in a place of service. This is huge. This is huge. I come to you today in service of humanity right now. So that's important because my ego, if I allow my ego to call the shots, it's not good for anybody. I still have that ego, but it's no longer the shot caller, right? Because that doesn't get me or anyone anywhere. So there's a lot of power and potential in creating cues. A cue is something that you can set in place that will trigger another behavior, something good, hopefully. So a lot of power in creating cues that trigger intentions and action steps. Like an easy one is I always put my sneakers next to my bed and I put my feet in them and I hashtag lace them up. That's a cue that says you'll be exercising today. So there's an easy one. But I want to talk about a specific one in the morning routine. Because without these cues, you risk the danger of allowing your ego to call the shots of the day, So the first cue I want to talk about for me is that moment after I've set up the gratitude. It's when I place my feet on the ground. And I know that you know what this is because when you go from horizontal and you sit up and then you place your feet on the ground before you even put them in the shoes, there's that feeling of touching the ground. So when I feel that cue of my feet touching the ground, and this might take a little bit of practice, because you're still kind of booting up. But when I feel that my feet touching the ground, I recognize that moment. Some people refer to, there's a really cool concept called grounding, if you want to look it up. That's not really grounding because that's an artificial floor. Grounding would be touching grass. But once I get grounded from sleep to horizontal, I recognize that moment as me actively engaging in the day. That's what triggers in my brain is, okay, game on. So what I do in that moment, once again, to claim control, we're trying to win the morning so that we win the day. So what I do in that moment is I look up at the heavens, or the universe, and I ask a question. And this is just as easy as saying thank you, even if you don't understand it. Feet touch the ground. That's the cue. I look up and I ask a question. I look up and I say, how can I help? I ask that question. What's interesting about that moment is that I know some people claim that they, speak to the powers that be. I speak to the powers that be, but I've never actually heard something come back, right? I can assume that I can get attention. I can feel a sign, but I've never had a voice come back when I say, how can I help? And that says, here's how you can help me, right? And what's interesting about that is that, for years, I've kind of always hoped that something would come back. But after all these years, I've actually, understood that the fact that I don't get an answer back reveals that that's the answer. So it's like the no answer, right? What's interesting about that, when you're really open and curious, you have the ability to recognize that sometimes no answer is an answer, rather than look at it and say, I didn't get an answer from you. Like if I say something to you and ask you a question and you don't answer me, I'm in the position right now where I'd say that's an answer, right? That's an answer as well. So I believe we are here to serve mankind. That's one thing, and that's just a belief, right? At this time, I believe that we are here to serve mankind, not your clients, not even just your family. I think that there's a bigger thing. Those are things that you do in the role of a servant. But I believe that we're all here to serve mankind, and it's not the universe or God's job to tell us how. That's not their job. We ask of the universe and God how, but that's not their job. Their job is to empower us with the capacity to serve. That's what their job is. I always kind of joke and say, like, if you actually had a conversation with God, God would say, dude, I give it to you every day. I give you everything that you ask for every day in the opportunity, right? In the potential. So great words from one of the board of directors in my life, Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King. He says this. He says, everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. We spend a lot of time trying to get credentials, right? You don't need a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace. What I'm talking about right now is this idea of waking up in a state of gratitude, creating the foolish, optimistic view that everything is going to be wonderful. Why would you do that? So that you can better serve. So when the feet touch the ground and you look up at the sky and you ask that question from a place of gratitude, how can I help? And you get no answer. What happens is that the fact that you do not know how you can help, right? You're forced to spend your day asking how you can help. That's what a servant does. A servant doesn't get the answer and go out and say, here's how I can help. That's a salesperson. A servant says, how can I help? And you do that with a servant heart. So try adding this to your morning routine, right? So you go back and listen to the evolution of gratitude and that is the Rise Up Great Morning routine that I teach. And enjoy the blessings of being useful to mankind, which I believe in the last 10 minutes of your life when you slide into home, that's all you're going to care about. Nothing that you're worried about today is going to matter. So love and appreciate you. So excited for this just spiritual awakening and journey that I'm going to have in the Amazon jungle by myself, going out there. Thank you so much to my family for allowing me to do that. And I promise everything that ever comes through me will flow to you. So love and appreciate you all. Have an amazing day. Because that's all I care about. All I care about is trying to be a conduit for people that have an amazing day, which starts with a great morning. Love and appreciate you. And I will see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. I believe we are done.